Yeah. Hello. Hi, Dr. Charan.
Hi, Dr. Preeti. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, so we'll start with this topic. The reason for choosing this was lately I have a lot of parents coming to me with the complaints that children just don't listen. Many parents, in fact, self-diagnose the kids with things like ADHD. There are parents who have started hitting their kids out of frustration. And even in my friends circle, when I talk to the other parents, they will say, 10 is a magic number. Your child is sweet and nice, listens to you, and suddenly they will have these emotional outbursts. They stop listening to you. They have a problem with everything you do. So, why does this happen, Dr. Charan? I mean, part of it is because puberty is happening a bit earlier. I think that could be a reason because earlier the average age of puberty is shifting every passing, few years. So, puberty can start any time after 8 years. So, now the peak age of onset of puberty for girls is around 10 and for boys it's around 11 to 12. So that could be one reason, but are there any other reasons, social reasons, which is causing these things earlier in children? Your experience regarding that?
I think definitely, back in the day when you looked at puberty, it was around 14 or like 12 to 14. Now we are seeing a lot
Yes.
of cases of precocious puberty. Precocious meaning puberty happening much early. Um, Initially in the West, there was precocious puberty. Mostly, I think a lot of research pointed it towards the diet that they consume. A lot of preservatives, which are added, and not eating a lot of plant-based food, a lot of meat, which might be again grown in a, with some amount of steroids, etc.
Yes.
I think we are seeing the urban population versus rural population also is shifting very very rapidly in the last at
Mm.
least last decade, right? So most of us do end up eating like not so Indianized food. I think that's one of the main role. Along with it, I think family system back in the day was a three generation family, a joint family. So you always had someone to watch over you or someone who is there to talk to you if you're not the same person. If you're not comfortable talking to your parent, you'll pick a cousin that is also living in the same household to go and talk to,
Yes.
right? But these days it's a nuclear family system. So
Mm-hmm.
you always go out seeking for other kind of help, which could be either different people or drugs or different kind of scenario. Along with this, definitely hormones do play a major role. I remember most of us also had a little bit of mood swings and irritability and unwarranted aggression.
Yes. Yeah.
Some amount of defiance, right? Even that plays a role. A lot of people think testosterone and progesterone, estrogen only have to do with your reproductive organs, but that's
Yes.
not true. They do influence your brain. There are some areas of the brain that deal with emotions, emotional memory, all of that. These hormones play an important role as well. Secondary to these, even the dopaminergic surge, different hormones that crave for reward, reinforcement, punishment, all these also, these neural circuits also play a major role why kids would start behaving differently
Yes.
once they hit the puberty or even when they're nearing puberty.
Mhm. I think social media is also responsible. In fact, there is enough study which says that Instagram is influencing these 10-year-old plus girls, especially in a very negative way.
Yeah.
So these things are also new evils in today's time, but yeah, now it is there and we have to handle it as parents. So what are the common behavioral problems which parents should anticipate in a 10 plus old child, and how do you recommend that they tackle them? What do you, what do parents approach you for most commonly?
Most commonly, it is about irritability and mood swings. That's a
Yeah.
common thing. I think they see a doctor. Rest of the
Yes,
things they try
yes.
to manage by themselves. When it's getting
Yes.
out of hand is when they come to a doctor.
Mm.
Unlike in the West, where they go to doctor for every little problem, right, to rule out
Mm.
a health condition. Here we don't do it. Here only when it hits the roof, that's when they come and see a doctor. So
Yeah.
irritability is one of the commonest things. Mood swings are another common thing, and they say that they just say that my child has changed in the last 1 year, not
Yes,
spending much
yes.
time with me. I think most of them come for them more than the child. They're not able to
Mm-hmm.
deal with the change, the adjustment of child being independent and doesn't need parent anymore. I think a lot of mothers especially have this,
Yes.
they develop this complex that my child doesn't need me anymore. I think, at least 30% of the times, child is all right. Actually, I ask them to come back and see me, the parents, because they are having some amount of underlying subclinical anxiety or depression about, or adjustment disorders about the child. Another common thing they come with is, curiosity to know that if the child is doing drugs or experimenting drugs, or if they probably they smelled cigarette on their shirt collar, or whatever, one of those drugs if they're anticipating. Another thing would be decreased interaction. They say that my kid is always on the always wanting to go out with friends but not spending enough time with us, or doing everything in a private manner rather than how they used to be before. That is another issue. Lying, truancy, skipping school, skipping college. Sometimes stealing. Stealing is something that immediately they bring to doctor, because in Indian culture, any other culture, generally stealing is considered as like an illegal thing, right? It could end you up in like some legal issues later. So for that, such behavioral issues is what they usually bring. Recently, a lot of parents are bringing for sex education.
Okay.
Like this very progressive parents, who want to do everything to the child, right? So they also, there's a lot of exposure about the West, how doctors are giving sex education. Even for that, they're bringing.
But that I find very surprising, Dr. Charan. In fact, I was having a conversation with one of my friends. Her daughter is 10 plus. And I was rather surprised that she had still not had the puberty and the period talk with her daughter. And she thought that the school will be doing it. And regarding sex education, it seems none of the parents talk to their kids. I mean, this is something I would like to tell parents, that if your child hears something from outside which is incorrect, it is better that you correct them. Now, I think you can tell better, Dr. Charan, but what my understanding is, you should keep talking to your child and understand what they understand, and then if they know some wrong knowledge, they should try to rectify it. And of course, a 10 plus child should definitely know about a lot of things. In fact, regarding puberty, I would recommend all parents to start from 8 plus. Not that one day you make them sit down and give them one big lecture about everything, but slowly you have to bring up the topic that your body will change, certain physical changes will happen. And regarding sex education, I personally feel you can talk to your child, and if your child is hearing some things about kissing or something else, you should try to explain it to them in the correct manner. Any other way you would recommend, Dr. Charan, they should talk to their children about this? Because this is something I've realized parents are very hesitant to talk to their kids about. I don't know why. So,
Today,
when
I
and
want to
how they
tell.
should do this?
Right.
Yeah.
Today, I want to tell about what not to do, because I think undoing what we're doing is the best way. It's
Yes, yes.
exactly opposite. I think most important thing is understand that teenage is all about curiosity. We are curious about different
Yes.
things. Be it your identity, your sexual orientation, career choices, what kind of friendships you want to be, what kind of clothes you want to wear. People are experimenting, and that's how back in the day. I used to dress differently, and today I dress very differently. That's because I
Yes.
tried and tested, and my parents gave me freedom to, wear whatever I want to. So even about sex education, understand it's hormonal, it's biological. It's nothing to do with parenting. It's nothing to do with the character of a person. It's nothing to do with the upbringing. It's a biological need, just like how you're feeling hungry, how you're feeling thirsty. Same way, how you're feeling hot right now or cold right now. Same way, it's a biological need that, also know that what resists will persist in children or teenagers. So do not resist. And what I'm seeing a lot of parents do is when I tell them, teach them about STDs, teach them about condom usage, teach them about teenage pregnancies, etc. They scare them away that, these kids are not willing to participate in sexual activity for a long time, even when they're like very well into the adulthood. So sex education
Okay.
should be a right. Don't you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't see kids till that age. My usually
Yeah.
kids come to me
Sorry.
till
Yeah.
12,
Yeah.
13 years.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I'm not aware of that. But yes, I know parents are very, very reluctant to talk to
Yeah.
children about these topics. That I
Yeah.
have definitely observed. So,
Right. So I think teach them about I mean, in schools are definitely teaching them about the reproductive organs and menstruation, etc. Teach them about different kinds of experiences and how to resist impulses, because the
Yes.
impulse or urge is going to be there. Shying away from it or hiding away from it or lying about it is not gonna make it go away. So talk to them
Yes.
that you might get this irresistible urge to kiss somebody that you like or etc. But you have to consider some ABCDE also before you take anything impulsively. Or tell them that if you think you have done some kind of sexual act, come back and tell the parent, because
Exactly.
uh, in that sexual impulse they do something and then they feel very scared. They go into depression. They don't even share with anybody because first of all they fear judgment. Second is they fear their independence to be taken away by the parents, so they don't
Yes.
discuss with parents, right? Even we are seeing in India teenage pregnancies are increasing, like in the West.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, not to that extent, but to like a little bit of,
Okay.
you know.
Hmm.
So I think all of that, I think having general healthy communication
Exactly.
uh,
Very, very important.
is
Yeah.
very important. My parents spoke to me about sex and different aspects. Initially, it made me feel very awkward, right? But later, see, again, sex education doesn't involve teaching about positions and different awkward things. It is about,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, it's about general things, general biological things. So people don't
Yes.
know what
Yes.
sex education is. They can Google it. There are
Yes.
many PDFs they can get. Parents can go through it and see how to initiate a conversation, how to start a dialogue with the kids. It's not that
Yes.
difficult. Also, I
There are a
think a
lot
lot
of
of
books also
international,
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of books and a lot of international schools
Yes.
are introducing sex education
Yes.
into their curriculum,
It
which is
should
a
be.
good
I
thing.
absolutely
Yeah.
agree. I don't know if you remember this incident. This was quite a few years back. There was a girl in boarding school and she was kissed by a boy, I think 13, 14-year-old girl. And she believed that you get pregnant by kissing. And one of her friends also scared her. Then this girl bought some medicine. I don't know how she bought it and she took it. And then I don't remember the exact details. She either died or there were severe complications. Now, this was just because this girl did not have the basic sex education. So this is so sad and it can happen and it can make a child, I mean, the child very, very guilty, especially
Yeah.
if you create a lot of shame around all these things. So yes, these feelings have to be addressed. Now coming to one reason for which parents are always, they come for vaccine, but we'll end up discussing all this, is that the child has these emotional outbursts. She was such a good child, now she doesn't listen to anything. Some parents even ask, does he or she have a hearing problem, because when we call they are not responding. So how should parents react, like supposing a 10-year-old suddenly just starts crying and just for some very weird reason, the child, obviously it's an emotional outburst. How should they react in such a situation, Dr. Charan? This is something most of our parents want to know.
So the two common things you would see is anger and sad. Rose for me. Hi.
Sorry, the connection got
Yeah.
broken.
No problem. You're back? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back.
So the two common emotions that are definitely not so pleasant are, somebody feeling very sad or somebody feeling very angry. First of all, when it's about anger, don't get argumentative. As a parent, what happens is, because you are the breadwinner of the family, you tend to be like, how dare, you know, he or she, like
Yes.
your son or daughter talks to you like that. That's the first thing.
Hmm.
It's not easy. Also, see, at the
Yes.
office, you can't yell at your boss. You can't you can't yell at like different authorities. And in the house, when child says something, you might also take your frustration back on the child. It happens. We are human after all. But understand that you have the maturity, emotional maturity, that they don't have. So you're supposed to set a better example by not yelling and remaining calm. It's not that easy, but you have to do a little bit of homework on that, because your child will
Okay.
react exactly same way as you react. A, because
Oh,
of
okay.
genes. B, because of observation. If you are seeing, for example, let's just say I'm a doctor and I have a child, and I'm yelling at somebody over the phone, or I'm yelling at people on the road because of my road rage, and I can't expect my child to behave very calm and like a saint. That's not going to happen. So set up a better example. By reducing your anger levels first. Second is, don't get argumentative. Let the child take their anger, and then sit back to them and tell them that what they have done is wrong, and there will be consequences of what they have done. Definitely have to
Okay.
reinforcement,
Okay.
reward and punishment, reinforcement, etc. All those principles. But at that heat of moment, because of the raging hormones, don't try to confront them, don't try to argue with them, don't pick on them, don't insult them, don't belittle them, because
Okay.
teenagers are very impulsive. You don't want them to take any drastic step that
Hmm.
all of you would regret later. But I'm not saying you should let them get away with their anger, because what's happening, this is I'm seeing these kids who are threatening their parents, saying that they'll harm themselves if
Yes.
they don't buy an
Hmm.
iPhone, if they don't buy like a
Oh.
bike, or
Hmm.
whatever, if they don't send them on a school trip, right? If the behavior is becoming like an advantage game, then you obviously have to curb on it. But otherwise, as a parent, you would know if it's a natural instinctive reaction of the child, or if the child is having a secondary gain of the anger. According to that, you'll have to decide.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about emotional outbursts when, in fact, I have heard from some mothers that literally their daughter cries 3, 4 times in a day. And they find it very difficult how to handle it. Like at the drop of a hat, you'll say, don't pick up this glass, they'll start crying. So obviously there is something more going on there. So how should they handle it, like these emotional outbursts?
I think emotional outburst has a lot of depth to it sometimes. Sometimes
Okay.
maybe it's just
Okay.
that premenstrually
Yes.
you're feeling a certain
Mm,
way. But
yes.
problem is when there is a lot of depth, I think generally it's not just about problem and solution. It is about how you build a network with your child. That network doesn't
Hmm.
only involve you and your child, it also involves your child's friends, right? Your child's friends,
Okay.
parents,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
getting in good touch with if they have boyfriend or girlfriend with them, or
Hmm.
even the school teachers, etc. Because you don't know, maybe your child is getting bullied in the school, your child is getting body shamed, or maybe nobody's body shaming,
Yes.
but he or she is feeling a certain way in the body.
Yes.
Maybe
Yes.
they're having sexual orientation issues that they're not able to share. All of that might manifest in
Hmm.
a way. If you ask them to pick a glass, they might actually cry. So sit them down and tell them that don't be curious and be like, tell me what happened. Or parents bring them to a psychiatrist saying that, doctor, I'll wait outside, you find out and then tell me everything. you know
Okay.
right, it's not about finding out, it's about telling that,
Hmm.
hey, I'm there with you and I was a teenager once, maybe I can be of good help for you. Don't
Okay.
think of me as a parent, but think of me as somebody who had been there in your position before, and talk to me. If you're not
Okay.
comfortable talking to me, if you want to talk to a counselor, I'll take you, right? And
Okay.
promise them confidentiality, because sometimes maybe your child doesn't want you to know certain things because of the fear of judgment, and give them the confidence
Oh.
that, I'm not going to judge you no matter what. This kind of
Hmm.
if you suddenly one
Yes.
day you can't tell this dialogue, they won't trust you, right?
Yes.
This should be
Yeah.
general atmosphere in the house, because
Hmm.
I know the difference. I know the difference of being parented very well and being not parented very well. So I can tell the impact it has on on my brain. So same way, parenting is a huge job. It's not easy, right? And
Yes.
some
Very.
people logging into this live is not going to go out as a better parent. It's something that you
Yeah.
have to figure out on your own and genuinely be there and be
No.
concerned. Yeah.
But that is something very relevant you have told, Dr. Charan. In fact, when they are younger, if they'll cry, we'll, be after them, tell us what happened, and they will tell also. So I think that is one big difference. We have to let them have their space while keeping a firm watch on them. So that's a very good point you have told. And even during anger, I agree that at that time you should, though it's very difficult. I know I have
Very,
a daughter who
very different.
sometimes tests my limits. So I know. So not shouting at that moment, but yes, consequences should be there. Because I have seen some parents who actually get scared of their child. I find that, and that is not just from 10 plus. This I am seeing, I'll tell them don't give junk food. You're like, no, but she'll cry. Like, who's the parent? So you shouldn't be scared of your child. Certain hard boundaries should be there, but certain places you should be flexible. And hitting is a big no-no. I know
Yeah.
of parents who just get so frustrated with their teens that they'll just start hitting them. So that is a big no-no that will make them more defiant and more problematic. Now coming to this online world, which is very bad. Like, in fact, I'll tell you, I got a kid and the mother was very, very worried that the child was behaving very badly and I could see it in front of me. She was being very rude to the mother. And then I noticed that the girl had a lot of, marks on her face. So she recently developed a skin allergy. And then when I probed a bit more, the mother also didn't realize that. But her friends were making, sort of fun of her regarding that. And that she was taking out at the home, but she didn't tell her mother about it. So these issues are there. So how do you ensure that your child confides in it? Is there any, I know you are saying it's not a one day job, but any tips regarding that? Because what I find is at that age, it's the communication channel which has broken off. In some cases, no, some parents are very good at communicating with their kids, but some parents feel at a big loss. And, the mothers will tell me, I'm a stay at home mom. I give so much time to my kids. Still, she's not talking to me. So, what really goes wrong, and how can they prevent it, or how they can mend fences now?
So teenagers, see, they will only do something if you do that back to them, right?
Okay.
If you start confiding in them, and if you start sharing about your
Okay.
day, how you're feeling, a lot of us
Mm-hmm.
don't do because we feel like our stress, why to rub on kids,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You don't have, it's not
Mm-hmm.
rubbing. See, my patients come to me and talk about stress. They're not rubbing it onto me,
Yeah.
right? I'm objectively listening to them. So you need to talk to them and take their advice. A lot of people think that kids don't know anything. Sometimes teenagers come up with brilliant solutions. Sorry,
Yeah.
am I back? Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're
So
back.
yeah, confide in them and ask them for solutions, and make them part of that process. So it's a give and take, no? If I start confiding in you,
Hmm.
you start confiding in me.
Yes.
It's the
Correct.
same way, right? And that will help each other develop problem solving capacity. If somebody's bullied you, you'll know to stand up, because you can share stories about how probably you're bullied or someone got bullied, and this is how they stood up. So that will give them inspiration to probably stand up. And more than all of this, I think even before bullying and all of this, teach them self acceptance. It's very, very important, right? By
Yes.
giving them their choice to be however they want to be in terms of their physical distance, because we are quick to judge in terms of don't wear this, don't wear that. What happens is at one point it becomes like a nagging or whining. You feel like your parents are nagging or whining behind you. Then your voice becomes just a noise for them. That's not good space, right? When there are important things that you need to put your foot down. But for trivial things, right, you can't you can't really like design their life. You
Hmm.
can give birth to them, you can't design their life in terms of what kind of clothes they should wear, what kind of they should get a tattoo or not. For example, simple thing, I want to get a tattoo done. Parents will say, no, you're not getting that tattoo done. Instead of that, tell them that, getting a tattoo done, it might be an impulsive process, but later, you might regret it. And then, removing it might be a very difficult process, right? Tell them that, once you are most definitive of what you want to get, share some options with me and we'll discuss about it. Make them part of that decision making process. So they'll trust you, right? If you
Okay.
outright say no, they'll go and get it in a secret place and they won't show it to you for till long time later, that you'll
Yes.
find out that your child has tattoo for last 5 years. That can happen, right? So
Yeah.
it's the same
Yeah.
way, tell them pros and cons and let them decide. Even simple
Okay.
thing as if you want to tell them to do something, give them options, but all the options are something that are healthy. For example,
Yes.
I'm making this and you have to eat. So kid will get very defiant and oppositional and irritable, right? Instead of that, say that, hey, I have resources to make these three things, you pick whatever you want. So giving them that choice to choose makes them feel that they are in control. Kids
Yeah, that's
thrive on that.
absolutely
I'm
correct. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So that's something that
That's absolutely correct. This is something I find with, because I mean, even 7, 8-year-old kids whose parents
yeah.
bring them for not eating properly or junk food, I sit and make the diet plan with the child,
Yeah.
taking their options in mind. And I find that works better than if I just write something and tell the mother and I just discuss with the mother. So yes,
Yeah.
I absolutely agree. It's important to give them some options. And once even my daughter crossed 5 years, I realized that if I give her some options, it's easier to make her change her decision than if I just simply say, no, don't do it. Of course, she's much younger, and the teen phase has thankfully not started yet. But I'm just saying, so I guess that works similar for older kids as well. And you have to give them some relevant options, not some rubbish options.
Yeah.
And another thing, Dr. Charan, which I feel is lack of quality time between parents and the kids. So because of all these screens and all, so I always recommend at all age groups that you should have a specific time designed for family, and each parent should also have a one-on-one time with the child every day. If you're very busy, it could be just half an hour, but something which you both are only doing. So it, and if you have two kids, please remember to give individual attention to both the kids. Many times it happens that, one of the child will, especially the older one, tends to feel ignored because even though you're spending so much time with your kids, the younger one tends to take in more attention. So I think it's important to have one-on-one time with each kid, and of course family bonding activities and times. Now another thing which I'm commonly asked is, of course, nowadays all 11 plus 12 plus are on Instagram, etc., etc. So I have heard from parents that if they spy on them, children feel very that their privacy is being invaded. And on the other hand, parents are obviously worried about cyberbullying and what is happening. What do you suggest? How to educate them about the online platform? And one more thing I would like to mention is that these days children should be told about child pornography as well, because sometimes just their friend may ask for some picture and you never know where it will land up. So it's very, very important to teach them that anything you send anyone can land up anywhere. So that is something which they don't understand because they are very innocent. But regarding this cyber monitoring of children, how much should be done and how should it be done?
I think firstly, I tell all the parents that, get educated about, what are the laws of cyberbullying, and you understand about social media first, because if something went wrong, kids don't come to the parents thinking that, okay, my mom doesn't know anything. Right? So they tend to go to other friends and they might misguide them in a different way. So
Yes.
you look like the person who is in control and who knows things. So then they naturally may turn out to you. And second thing is, don't spy on behind the back. Instead, tell them directly that, what, you cannot open some things that are not appropriate for your age, and I'm gonna look. That will give you a little bit of fear and
Okay.
discipline rather than going behind the back and finding out and then yelling at them and confronting them suddenly, catching them off guard. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna help for either of them,
Okay.
like not the parent or the children. So tell them these are the rules and let them be part of making rules. For example, you said, I involve the kid in making a diet plan.
Yes.
Right? Same
Yes.
way, you tell them, come sit with me. Let's make a plan for, how much of exposure you're gonna have, screen exposure. In that, how much is for education, how much is for entertainment. Sit and make it. Obviously, your kid will bargain and say that, Mama, I want 4 hours instead of 2 hours. Come to a middle ground. Say, no, 2.5 hours is the max now. Right? Come to the middle ground.
Okay.
And, when you're involved in the process, they tend to trust you and teach them that these are the 4 or 5 things that you need to worry about. If someone asks you to send a picture of your private parts, tell them, like how for kids we say go, no go areas, right? Same way we tell
Yes.
teenagers that, some pictures, you can't send. Tell them some examples of what happened with, some recent cases.
Yes.
Tell them that, people are always, maybe it's not your friend that might misuse your picture, but
Exactly.
once it's on the internet, many people can source it, right? Educate them. For that, you need to be educated. Because kids are smart. You can't just say some nonsense and expect them to believe that.
Yes, yes. These days they are very smart.
Very
you know.
smart.
Especially with online schooling, I sometimes feel my 8-year-old knows more about Teams and all these things
Yeah.
than I know. Yes, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's important to be educated. That's absolutely right. So, anything else you would like to discuss, Dr. Charan? I had a question about general physical and mental well-being of these kids. So, mental well-being, anyways, we've been talking for quite some time. Physical well-being, it's a topic on its own, but in short, make sure they get good physical activity. And I think, Dr. Charan, you'll agree that is very important for mental well-being also. That is what people don't
I was about
understand.
to say the same. Both are interrelated. They're not different things.
Exactly. Kids are not playing outdoors. Kids are just stuck indoors. Even if they are doing some classes, it is online. Let them go out, let them run. That will make them happy. That will take off the stress. So that is very, very important. And of course, give a balanced diet. Make sure they have some dry fruits. If they have a habit of eating junk food, give them some healthy options like some nuts, some dry fruits, some roasted makhane, or some healthy options you should give them instead of junk food. So that's about the physical health. Now, the last question I want to ask you, of course, if there's anything else you want to highlight, Dr. Charan, you can do that. When should a child be taken to a psychiatrist or a psychologist? When do they need professional help for their behavioral problems? I think the connection went off. Okay. Okay, till then I'll be talking a bit about their physical health. So as I said, the physically you have to make sure they have a good balanced diet, one fruit, one vegetable, certain amount of milk. All these things are very important, and superfoods like your nuts and exercise. Please don't forget exercise. Yeah, hi, Dr. Charan. Sorry, we lost
Hi.
you in between.
Yeah, no, I got your question.
So,
Got a question.
acha, you got the
If
question.
yeah,
Fine.
yeah. If any symptom is happening too often or too severe,
Okay.
and it's
Okay.
interfering with the daily life of the child, or causing distress to the child or people around. Sometimes child might be enjoying it, but people around also getting distressed with it. That's when you know that probably it's not a normal behavioral change. It's a disorder. That's when you need to get their assessment. But also, I think it's good to generally get a mental health evaluation, like at some points of their life, around their puberty, and maybe once in 2 to 3 years, or when they're having some board exams or something like that, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and also talking about teenagers, we can talk so many things. We can talk about body image issues. We can talk about exam pressure, peer pressure,
Yes.
conforming to
Yes.
conforming to what is cool and what is not cool. I think
Exactly.
a lot of substance use, etc., starts from this. The pressure to conform. Like the,
Yes.
the the first time I ever tried alcohol is because I thought my friends will think I'm not cool at all.
Hmm.
Right? I mean, it's not in my teenage,
Yes.
it's much later. But
Hmm.
even then, I thought like, oh, what will they think? They'll think that I'm not very urban, I'm not very
Hmm.
cool. So
Hmm.
that pressure to conform makes people do a lot of things. So again, see, choosing when you choose your friends, right? As a child, your parents don't usually approve. They judge your friend, saying that, oh, she doesn't look like a nice person, or I don't like
Hmm.
her dressing. Don't hang out. When you say don't, kids rebel. They tend to actually form a stronger relation with that particular person. Instead, get to know the person's friends, right? Call them over and
Yes.
have like a movie night or something like that. Again, these days a lot of parents are having two children, thinking that they'll take care of each other. They'll just grow them up,
Yes.
and you and your
Yeah.
husband will be busy doing your whatever jobs you're doing.
Hmm.
That's not how it's going to work. Both
Yes.
the kids need parents. Yeah, they need each other, and they also need parents, so you have to give that undivided attention. Even if you earn like few thousands less a month, it's okay, right? Even if you don't take them to like the most top international school of the city, it's okay.
Hmm.
I mean, I didn't study in an international school, and I'm doing fine, so it's okay. So instead, quality time is important, and don't compare with their academic achievements or anything else with other people. This is they say comparison is thief of joy. It's like I never liked as a teenager when I was compared with someone. Usually I was the one who was scoring well in my entire family, right? I,
Yeah.
I never used to like it when someone used to tell, oh, look at him, why don't you be like him? I used to feel irritated. I
Hmm.
used to feel like, but why will that person be like me? I'm not very good
Hmm.
with sport, but my cousin is very good with sports. But that people never used to compare. People always used to compare academics,
Studies. Yes.
studies,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I mean,
Hmm.
these days there are many creative ways that people, kids can get into. It's not just engineering or doctors. So be open and have conversation with them. Tell them pros and cons. Make a career plan with them. You don't decide their career and ask them to go join it. Instead, understand their interests and see how they, at the end of the day, I think if you're good in a particular branch, you will earn decent money. If you're not
Yeah,
good,
absolutely.
you won't earn any
I
which
think,
way.
but that is a session, a big session in itself, because that Indian parent mindset is very difficult to break from the typical studies. No matter how much we say, still parents will put the first focus on studying only. So I think that will take a long time to get over with. And as you rightly said, this is something which I find very surprising. If I tell a parent, they'll discuss so many of these issues with me, Dr. Charan. Sometimes when some of these kids come, I'll end up spending half an hour, and they have come for vaccine. They haven't come for any psychological issues. But the moment I'll tell them, okay, go and meet Dr. Charan or go and see a psychologist, then they really back off. And that's what I don't understand. It's not that, a psychiatrist will be giving you some medication. It's not at all required. I mean, only if really, really required, they'll probably give some medication.
Yeah.
So I think the stigma also needs to be gotten rid of. So, like if I tell a parent, no, your child is watching too much screen, go and show an ophthalmologist. Readily they'll take, appointment next week itself. But if I'll tell to meet you, they will not. I mean, some will, but most won't. So I
Yeah.
think that is also important, as you rightly said. If the symptoms are really getting out of hand, it's not about the medication. Dr. Charan or any mental health specialist can just give you some good tips to understand how to handle your child. And sometimes the perspective of a professional is different from
Yeah.
what you as parents have. So I think that very good tips given, Dr. Charan. My daughter is about to turn 10 in 2 years, and people have been scaring me. So this session I did a lot for myself and my education also. So thank you for all the wonderful tips. Anything else you would like to add?
No, thank you. But this is a very difficult topic because there's so much
Yes.
to, like talk about. And Dr. Shilpi just commented, Indian parent mindset is still the oldest, even if they're in the countries like USA or Europe. They remain Indian
Yes.
in thought process. Yeah, that's for sure. I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. I think people who are living abroad are more Indian than people who live in India. That's what I see a lot of times. You know,
My sister-in-law is there, and they recently shifted to UK, and their entire aim was getting their son into a good grammar school, which is a scholarship school. So yes, I think that of course he's very brilliant, but I'm just saying that mindset for studies is still there. I don't know, maybe even we'll be parents like that, or hopefully we'll
no,
be a
but
bit more
I
open.
will I will make sure my child doesn't become doctor.
Yeah, that
That
even I
one
agree.
dream, that
I
one
think
dream I'll
even
shatter.
ma'am will agree to that. All doctors agree to it without a doubt. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Charan.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you,
a
Shilpa
nice day.
ma'am, for joining in. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
bye.
Bye.